First, there is a smile, then the rules, then the forgetting,
KrainaGrzybowTV is a transmission,
or a ritual, or a mistake someone kept feeding. Its edges fry like a burnt film, its logic falls on itself, a children's show that teaches you how to feel happy, while slowly reprogramming what happy means. There's a girl named Agatka. She speaks softly, like she's alone in her own head. Her world is made of paper and pills, and promises no one keeps. Each episode is a loop inside a loop. Language breaks down, symbols repeat, and the wrong things start making sense. You'll recognize the nostalgia first, the color, the palette, the schoolroom, the music. Then you'll realize something listening to you. This isn't a channel, it's a mechanism, a smile, weaponized, meaning twisted until it becomes obedience. By the time you understand what it is, it's already inside you. This is the Smile Guide. Welcome to Decode. The Land of Mushrooms TV. It launched it quietly in 2013. No fanfare, no marketing, no explanation. Just a 6-minute video uploaded by a faceless account. At first glance, it looks like a Soviet-era educational show for children. Clean, sanitized, safe. There is an unease in the air, like the static of a broken television. But something was wrong. The colors, decayed, muted, the audio rap distorted. The host, a teenage girl named Agatka, moved like she was being controlled from somewhere far away. She wore paper eyes over her real ones, hiding her true gaze. And the lesson of the day, how to use an apple effectively. But this wasn't about fruit. This was about control.
Witajcie w naszym poradniku. W dzisiejszym odcinku dowiecie się, jak skuteczniej jabłko składa się z nadjabłcza, krainy grzybów i papieru. Ale my się tym nie przejmujemy.
Let's break it down. Agatka begins by smiling and introducing the lesson, but the camera lingers just too long on her face. Her words, are they rehearsed? Forced? It doesn't feel natural. You can almost hear the hesitation in her voice, like she's waiting for someone to pull the string. Midway through, Agatka begins cutting the apple, but it's not just any cutting, it's violent. She hacks at the fruit, each slice jagged and uncomfortable, like she's trying to break something in herself. Every time the knife hits, we hear a sharp, distorted sound. It's the tension between the mundane and the disturbing. And then the camera shifts, a sudden glitchy appearance. Malgosia, a puppet that speaks in riddles. But there's something deeper hiding beneath the surface. Watch carefully. because Malgosia glitches, and in the split second that she does, we hear a new name. Teufel. That's German for the devil. A disturbing shift, like something dark, something evil is watching. And just when we think we understand, just as Agatka finishes her lesson, we hear it. The voice of her mother, or something more sinister. It's distorted, it's like someone is trying to reach her, but the signal is broken. And it's not just her mother's voice we hear, it's the voice of the world falling apart. This, we realize, is not just an art project, it's something more. Part dream, part broadcast, part distress signal. But to understand how deep this rabbit hole goes, we need to break down each episode. We'll peel back every layer. In episode 1, Agatka's journey begins. We see a glimpse into her fractured world, but it's not until we start analyzing the other episodes that we can truly understand what's happening here. The language, the symbol, the underlying messages. Each episode builds on the last, and so we'll break them down one by one. But first, let's talk about Agatka. On the surface, she's a host, soft-spoken, innocent, childlike. But the more we watch, the more we realize she's a complex figure, a representation of something deeper and darker. She's both a puppet and a prisoner of the mushroom land. Her paper eyes are a constant reminder that her perception of the world is artificial. Is she aware of the control around her? Or has she become accustomed to it, that she no longer questions it? Her smile, always the same, never fading, is more than just an image. It's a mask that hides her confusion, her fear, and the growing sense of isolation. Each episode is another step in her disintegration. Her forced actions reflect a world that has lost its meaning. She's stuck, frozen in perpetual loop, but she doesn't seem to know how to stop it. As we move forward, each episode will reveal more about Agatka's fractured world, and more about her, her smile, her forced obedience, her confusion. Each piece of the puzzle adds up to a chilling picture of something much larger than we first imagined.
Witajcie. W dzisiejszym odcinku dowiemy się, jak zrobić z papieru. Będziemy potrzebować papieru i mnóstwa dobrej zabawy. Nie zapomnij o dobrej zabawie. Wiem, Jezus, spadaj stąd downie.
Papieru.
Ale mi tak cię kocham. Papieru.
The second episode of Poradnik Uśmiechu begins innocuously enough. Agatka sits at a desk, attempting to fold a sheet of paper. The task seems simple, almost childishly so. But as we watch, we realize Agatka attempts to create something, anything, are failing. Every time Agatka folds the paper, it crumples twisting into an unrecognizable mess. The world around her mirrors the failure. The camera shakes as through reality itself, wrapping its enough. She's trying to build something tangible in a world made entirely of decay, fragile, disintegrate, falling apart. The music in this episode is key. It starts light, almost playful, but soon becomes distorted, slowing down in unsettling ways. The innocence of the tune quickly evaporates, replaced by a sense of dread. The paper itself, like the mushroom land, is fragile, a symbol of decay that is seeping into everything. Her perception, her very identity she tried to create, but it's all futile. She cannot build something real from nothing. But there's more here, much more. The paper eyes, the artificial vision, return as a central motive. Agatka is blinded, unable to see truly the truth of her world. She's locked in a cycle, unable to break free from her own limitations. The paper is a metaphor for this. No matter how hard she tries to make something meaningful, it's always disintegrate. And then the phone rings, the voice again, a mysterious, fragment voice, possibly her mother, interrupts the silence, distorting in and out through static. The voice is a faint, as though it's trying to break through the noise of a broken world. Is Agatka hearing this voice, or is she just being haunted by it? This call, like the others, it's part of the growing sense that Agatka is trapped in a loop of failed communication, like a broken machine that can't quite connect to the world outside. Episode 3, In the Mushroom Land. Episode 3 was announced but never aired. All we have are fragments, teasers, glimpses, a field of mushrooms, an image of Agatka standing alone, her face obscured by glitch and static. The lack of this episode depends on the mystery surrounding the channel. Why was it never released? Why is it missing? Some fans believe this lost episode contained something so dark, so unsettling that the creator themselves pulled it. Others argue it was too much for even the audience to handle. After all, episode 2 already lays the groundwork for a world on the brink of collapse. What could episode 3 have shown that would break the fragile illusion? But it's the absence of this episode that makes it so powerful. The unknown, the unexplored, becomes a more terrifying force than any image could be.
Witajcie w naszym poradniku!
Wybacz mi, księżniczko.
Episode 4, How to Your Hair. By this episode, things have begun to unravel, quite literally. The task seems mundane, but as Agatka struggles with this simple task, something shifts. Her usual calmness starts to fracture. She's no longer certain of her actions. The world seems to be slipping out of her grasp. Hair in this episode becomes a symbol of identity. It's something we all take for granted, a simple act of grooming. But Agatka's inability to fix her hair speaks to something deeper. Who is she? Is she losing herself? Is she even capable of holding into the most basic of self-images in a world that's slipping away? The sound design amplifies Agatka's confusion. The music shifts from melancholic to jarring, and we begin to hear Jean's man, another recurring figure. His face pixelated and glitching, he appears like a ripple in the fabric of reality, a representation of Agatka's growing instability. Jean's man is a glitch, a fractured part of the world that's slowly coming apart. He doesn't speak, but his presence is chilling. He's like a reminder that Agatka's world is not real, not in the way we understand reality. And for the first time, Agatka seems unsure she's no longer in control.
Witajcie w kolejnym odcinku naszego poradnika. Dzisiaj dowiemy się, jak poprawnie telefon. Jak poprawnie telefon? Hola, hola, urwij się. Najpierw musimy poznać... Witajcie. Czas na telegrę. Aby poznać numer, należy usunąć pola z owocami. Mamy już pierwszy telefon. Halo, halo? Halo, tu Agatka. Halo, tu Agatka. Halo, tu Agatka. Halo, tu Agatka.
Episode 5: How to Properly Phone. In episode 5, we enter a nightmare of communication. Agatka picks up the phone, trying to connect with someone, perhaps the outside world, but the phone doesn't work. The connection is lost, replaced by a static, broken, perhaps I can't hear you. A voice whispers, distorted, beyond recognition. This is where we see the true breakdown of communication. Technology isn't a bridge to the world, it's a barrier. The phone, once a symbol of connection, becomes a symbol of isolation. It's an object meant to unite, but instead, it fragments reality. The audio here is key. The glitching, the broken voices. This is no longer a simple malfunction. It's a metaphor for the collapse of human connection. The more Agatka tries to reach out, the more distant she becomes from anyone who could help her.
Nie zauważyłam was. Witajcie w ostatnim odcinku Poradnika Uśmiechu. Cicho! Bo nie mogę się skupić. lepiej się zachowywać. No, zachowuj się. Dlaczego się nie zachowujesz, młoda damo? Chcesz być jak ta Justynka? Dawno, dawno temu w Dolinie Kwiatów żyła sobie Justynka. Justynka była bardzo, bardzo niegrzeczna i nie umiała się zachowywać. I wykrzyczyło bujnie.
Episode 6, How to Your Child. The final episode of Poradnik Uśmiechu takes us into the most disturbing territory yet. Agatka holds a baby doll, but there's no joy in the act, no warmth, no tenderness, only cold, emotionless gestures. The doll in this case represents something tragic. It's not just a toy, it's a symbol of a lost future, a broken connection. The doll should represent a child's potential, their innocence, but here it represents something far more chilling. Agatka's inability to connect with the world around her, her failure to see anything as it truly is, the lack of emotion is striking. Agatka holds the doll, but she doesn't seem to care. There is no love here, no empathy, just a cold, detached interaction. It's the final tragic expression of Agatka's isolation, the act of caring for something, nurturing. It is reduced to a hollow ritual. She's disconnected from even the simplest acts of human connection. In the context of Poradnik Uśmiechu, this doll symbolized Agatka's fractured psyche, her inability to see or interact with the world as other world. Instead, she is caught in her own eternal, unable to reach out. Each of the episodes of the Smile Guide exists as a distinct piece of a larger puzzle, and while the symbolism runs deep in every frame, it's the way each piece fits together that truly creates the haunting narrative of the series. Let's explore the visual, the music, and pervasive sense of unseen permeates every episode. One of the most notable aspects of the series is fractured of reality that the visual convey throughout the Smile Guide. We witness glitching imagery, static distortion, broken colors, fragmented faces, making the viewer feel as though they too are losing their grip on the world. Agatka's existence is mirrored in these disjointed visuals. She is not only trapped in the mushroom land, but she is also trapped within the very fabric of her own distorted perception. Every frame is imbued with this disintegration, the distorted faces, the shifting, flickering backgrounds. They all convey a sense of impermanence and decay, even when the show presents us with seemingly simple scenes, like Agatka sitting in front of a table or standing in front of the mirror. The glitches imply that reality is slipping through our fingers, just out of reach. The glitches in Agatka's face are particularly jarring. Her expression are not fixed. Her emotion seems to flicker in and out of existence, as though she cannot maintain a steady grip on who she is or how she feels. This visual motif is one of the most powerful ways the series communicates its central themes: identity, fragmentation, and the loss of reality. The music and sound design in Poradnik Uśmiechu are pivotal to creating the series' sense of unseen. At first, we are introduced to a soft, almost soothing melodies, lullabies and childlike tunes that evoke a sense of innocence. But as the series progresses, the music begins to rap and distort, creating a deeply unsettling atmosphere. The once comforting sounds now take an sinister quality, reflecting Agatka and revel in mental state. Take for example the lullaby that plays in the background during the earlier episodes. At first, it's gentle and calming, but as it is distorted, sometimes played backward or slowed down, it becomes nightmarish. The same lullaby that should evoke a sense of safety now feels like a warning, a harbinger of impending collapse of the world Agatka has been trapped in. There are also the whispers, voices that we can barely hear, but that seem that surrounded Agatka. These voices are fragmented, incomprehensible, and often distorted by static. Sometimes they sound like warnings, other times like pleas for help. The distorted phone calls, the distant voices. It's as though Agatka is hearing messages from a world she cannot reach, a world trying desperately to make a contact with her, but she's unable to listen, to understand. These voices aren't just part of the auditory experience, they are the psychological manifestation of Agatka isolation. They represent the fragmented communication that exists in her fractured reality. The voices that call her name, they are her connection to the outside world, but the static and distortion signify that there is no clear connection, no real understanding. Agatka is alone in her world, trapped in a vacuum of miscommunication and malfunction. The language of Poradnik Uśmiechu is just as fractured as its visual and music. Throughout the episodes, Agatka speaks in a monotone voice, her words often fragmented, disconnected from their meaning. The dialogue is rarely coherent. Sometimes it's nonsensical, as if it were translated poorly, or as if Agatka herself doesn't quite know what she's saying. This disjointedness reinforces the theme of alienation. The words Agatka speaks don't fit the reality she is experiencing. Her speech, just like her surroundings, seems to be pulled apart, leaving her trapped in a world where even her own voice cannot ground her in reality. The viewer is left unsure of whether Agatka is still in control of her thoughts or whether she has been completely consumed by the mushroom land, and the words that came from her are echoes of something she can no longer understand. This gap between thought and communication is another key piece of the puzzle in understanding her mental unraveling. Now let's talk about the characters. There are only a handful of recurring figures, but each plays a significant role in pushing Agatka further into the depths of the mushroom land. Agatka, the lost soul. Agatka is the central character, the figure who holds everything together, even if that together is fragile. We've discussed her already, but it's important to delve deeper into who she is. Agatka represents the core of show's themes: loss of identity, isolation, and the quest of meaning. In a fractured world, her gradual mental breakdown mirrors the collapse of the mushroom land itself. She is constantly aware with her own mind, her own existence. Her struggle is to hold on to something, anything that might anchor her, but the more she reaches out, the more it slips away. Jeans Man, the glitching figure. Jeans Man is a figure who haunts Agatka throughout the series, a fragment of something normal in an otherwise twisted world. He represents the glitch in the system, the force that disrupts Agatka's world. He doesn't speak, he doesn't need to. His very existence is a reminder that Agatka's perception is broken. Jeans Man is the embodiment of the fractured reality that holds her captive. Every time he appears, it's like a crook in the facade of her world. He is a warning, a symbol that she's losing her grip. The disembodied voices. Then there are the voices, always distant, always fragmentary. Are they real, or are they just a part of Agatka's crumbling mind? They seem to come from nowhere, everywhere, all at once. Sometimes they seem familiar, perhaps even friendly, but they are always distorted, wrapped by static. These voices are another representation of Agatka's inability to connect, her inability to hear the world as it truly is.
Because of spring allergies, I'll be taking over. S9's lost his voice, so I'll be finishing the final analysis of the Smile Guide. There's something peculiar about KrainaGrzybowTV. No matter how many times I try to peel it apart, I end up precisely where I began. The truth is, there are too many theories, too many holes to fall into. The conspiracies are endless, like ivy winding tighter the deeper you go. And if I'm being honest, I know I'm not the first fool to tumble down these weird rabbit hole. Nexpo and many others have already wandered these woods, and some have wandered too far. But this was my road to ruin. Yes, the series is beautiful, painstaking, crafted with the sort of deliberation that makes you believe there must be some grand design behind it all. But here's my final verdict. It means nothing, and that's precisely why it lingers. I really wish it held a single truth. I wish there was a key that fit every lock. But just as I said before, once you start chasing shadows and symbols, you never come back the same. You just keep falling. Every figure in this broken world drags you down further. Dad, an echo of authority, rotted and hollow, a figure who ought to protect, but instead, its presence feels like a curse muttered through clenched teeth. The teacher, a twisted custodian of knowledge, force-feeding Agatka meaningless lessons until learning itself becomes an act of violence. The mushroom people, not truly people at all, sprout and fester like mold, growing over what little humanity remains. The squirrel, restless, twitching, grinning, draws Agatka off the path, a living temptation to abandon reason entirely. And then there's Mother, cold, mechanical, her tenderness nothing but rehearsed performance. A machine designed to shepherd Agatka towards the fate worse than death, obedience. None of them are real, and yet they all are. That's the cruelty of it. I watch a great deal of Lars von Trier movies. His films are peculiar, harrowing, and carefully made. They often hint at a meaning so profound, you just ache to grasp it, but you can't. When the man himself was asked, "What is the meaning of this or that film?" he always shrugs and simply says, "I don't know, I'm just trying things." The Smile Guide is no different. Sometimes the most honest stories have no message at all. No grand revelation, just feeling, just fear, just the unsettling echo of something you almost understand before it slips away. We could build theories forever, brick by brick, layer by layer, but I won't. Not anymore. That's why it endures. Even after all these years, KrainaGrzybowTV is still unsettling, still scratches at the corners of the mind, still reminds us that some mysteries were never meant to be solved in the first place. But for me, I think it's time to leave it be, to let it rot peacefully in the dark. Thank you all for sticking along with this video. I hope you enjoyed your stay. I was your host, Fox Lenka, alongside S9. And we'll see you on the next one, stranger.